think just having these conversations in our community between family, friends, teachers, students is just really important, because just one pill can be deadly.
Just one pill. First at 5, a warning from local doctors and addiction experts about fake prescription pills laced with deadly doses of fentanyl. And they say there is a way to stop what is a vicious and often fatal cycle. Good evening. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. That's after 2 Multnomah County teens died from overdoses this month. And now more families are sharing their stories. Galen Etlin joins us now with how they hope to make a difference. Galen?
Yes, Laurel, David, the bottom line from families and experts here is this can happen to anybody. Pills that look real are fake, and it only takes one to cause a tragedy.
Cal was a pretty typical teenager.
Jen and John Epstein of Beaverton say their 18-year-old son Cal struggled with anxiety and used some drugs to cope.
So we got him professional help and thought he was in a good path and sent him off to school.
In 2020, he came home from his first year at college.
When we found him unresponsive in his bed with a few pills next to him, he never recovered, and he passed away a few days later.
The pills were fake prescriptions laced with the potent synthetic drug fentanyl, a story shared by too many.
I tragically lost my 17-year-old son, Zachary.
These parents shared their experience as part of a national webinar this week about overdose risk.
What do you think can be done?
Most importantly, we need to increase awareness.
Dr. Sarah Leitz is chief of addiction medicine at Kaiser Permanente Northwest. She says fentanyl supply is growing in Oregon.
Just trying one pill for people could be deadly. It's not just opioids. We're seeing it in cocaine, methamphetamine mixed in with heroin, etc.
In 2020, Oregon saw more than 470 overdoses, and about the same number in the first half of 2021.
Our entire community is at risk.
Dr. Leitz says adults and teens face this danger, but that teens especially may not realize pills they've picked up are fake. With mental health concerns rising through the pandemic, she urges families to take this approach.
Let adolescents know that they're not alone. So if they reach out for help, they're not going to get in trouble. They're not going to get kicked out of their school.
Empathy and support, it sounds like, over punishment.
Definitely.
Signs of overdose include unresponsiveness to noise and touch, weak pulse, shallow breathing, and pupils the size of pinpoints. As cases rise, Dr. Leitz recommends many more people in the community also carry Narcan with them, an overdose reversal drug.
We need to save lives.
For the Epsteins, sharing education about fentanyl
100 times more potent than morphine.
is their way to make sure Cal's memory lives on to save others.
This is a problem that most of America isn't talking about, and we need to be.
And again, this conversation is playing out here just 3 weeks after 2 teens in Multnomah County took counterfeit pills and died from fentanyl overdose. Doctors urge everybody to only take pills you're prescribed and to avoid anything else given or sold to you by someone else. And if you do choose to risk it, take a smaller amount to reduce your risk. Be around other people and have that Narcan handy. Back to you.
Narcan, a lifesaver, and awareness part of it, too. Thank you, Galen. To new developments now surrounding a mass shooting last month at a northeast Portland park. The suspect there, 43-year-old Benjamin Smith, has been moved from the hospital to jail. He'll be arraigned tomorrow. He's accused of shooting 5 people at Normandale Park on February 21st, killing 60-year-old June Knightley. Smith was also shot. He'd been in critical condition. Now, according to these new court documents, Smith confronted a group of racial justice demonstrators at the park and demanded they leave. There was an argument. He started shooting, court records say, and someone in the crowd fired back.
New information surrounding a well-known member of the Proud Boys and their events in Portland. Today, Tusitala Tosi, who's also known as Tiny, was arraigned in Multnomah County. It stems from a Proud Boys rally last August in northeast Portland. The rally turned into a violent clash with counter-protesters. Tosi's charged with assault and riot, among other things. The DA is asking to hold him without bail, given his previous criminal history. He was extradited from Washington last night, where he's being held on unrelated charges.
Well, new at 5, faced with what it calls historic staffing shortages, the Portland Police Bureau is expanding efforts to hire officers. Today, Chief Chuck Lavelle said the Bureau has hired new background investigators to vet new job candidates. He also said the Bureau will pour resources into attracting new hires. The Bureau says it's down, by the way, to 777 sworn members. That is a historic low for them. There are 105 vacancies. PPB has also launched a new website for recruitment.
For more than 40 years, Habitat for Humanity has relied on volunteers and donations to create affordable housing. It just got a $436 million gift to do even more. Tim Gordon joins us from Southeast Portland. Tim, that's a huge amount of money, almost $500 million.
Man, Laurel, it is a whole lot of money. And here locally, we're going to see $8.5 million for the Portland region. They call this gift transformational here. And the houses you see here in Southeast Portland, well, these are Habitat-built homes here for a decade or so, changing people's lives here. Now, thanks to this huge gift, there is much more of this to come. The donation comes from author and philanthropist Mackenzie Scott. She's the former wife of Jeff Bezos. Again, $436 million, $25 million going to the national organization, but the rest going to more than 80 Habitat for Humanity branches across the country. Now, a lot of the money will go to building or repairing homes, so those who couldn't afford to buy before can. And the need is greater than ever after decades of housing prices climbing and wages just not keeping up. We are certainly seeing that here.
This is a much bigger problem than even this large of a gift. And we need everyone involved, public sector, private sector, home builders, etc. So we see this as a way for us to really ramp up those efforts in creating new partnerships and promoting smart housing policy.
But Mezzanetti says, again, that funding will be transformational in helping to build houses and a better system. And there will be a focus on making the system more equitable for people of color, especially black families who have been historically shut out of home ownership. And by the way, this big gift does not mean that your volunteer hours and your donations are not important anymore. In fact, they're having a big fundraiser, and we've got information about that coming up at KGW.com. David?
Tim Gordon in Southeast Portland. Thank you, Tim. And sticking with housing here, and in particular affordable housing, a former unused jail turned shelter is now expanding its services. We're talking about the Bybee Lake's Hope Center, which first opened in late 2020. Pat Doris, host of the story, was there this morning. Pat, tell us about the changes. What did you find out there?
Well, David, I went on tour this morning with Bybee Lake's founder and CEO Alan Evans. The program here is paid for by nonprofit foundations along with private businesses, and it recently got $1 million from the United Way of the Columbia Willamette. It's a high barrier facility, meaning that people have to be clean and sober to go into the program, and they have to also be ready to make a change. Neither Multnomah County nor the city of Portland have helped pay for it. Today, Evans was thrilled to announce the expansion just over a year since opening.
Today, we now have 318 beds open for this community. For 14 months, we've had 126 beds open on one side of this building, and we were pushing about 90% capacity, and we realized that this expansion is extremely important to our communities.
And said a majority of the people who've gone through their program have moved into stable housing in the community. The program recently asked Multnomah County for $1 million in funding. We're told no decision has been made on that request. Coming up on the story tonight at 6, we'll explain what the difference is between the Bybee Lake shelter versus shelters operated by the city and the county. Back to you.
Looking forward to that. Thank you, Pat.
You bet.
To an update now on a recall vote in Yamhill County. It appears Commissioner Lindsay Burschauer will keep her job. Here's a look at the preliminary results. The Yamhill County Election Office says more than 52% of voters chose no when it came to recalling the commissioner. And here's the backdrop here. A group called Save Yamhill County collected enough signatures to force that recall. They accuse Burschauer of favoring her own interests and her own donors rather than taxpayers. Burschauer blames the recall on progressives she says wanted her out of office.
Let's give you a live look at the Oregon Convention Center from our Rose City Sky Camera. And this is where librarians from all around the country are meeting right now.
You know, you might be scratching your head here over why this is a big deal. Well, it is because this is the first large event Portland has hosted in 2 years. Wow, our Bryant Clerkley is at the conference now. Bryant, looks pretty crowded out there behind you.
It's very crowded. It's a happy day here at the convention center, David. We got all these books that librarians are looking at, and 4,500 of them are packing this convention center. And when this happened back in 2010, there were 8,000 librarians here. So this industry still has a bit of catching up to do to get back to pre-pandemic levels. Organizers say they love coming to Portland despite issues with crime and homelessness. They're just excited to be back together for the first time in 2 years. And for the next 2 days, the librarians will be sitting through workshops and exploring different exhibits. Organizers say the city of Portland was still at the top of their list for destinations.
We love being in Portland. The way that Portland has this really great grassroots community and this heart for activism is a really great match for what public libraries do.
And there are still some COVID rules here at the conference. Attendees had to be vaccinated, and they're asking everyone to wear a mask inside. Organizers are also predicting that these attendees will put over $4 million back into the economy because they'll be eating at restaurants and shopping at local stores. David, Laurel.
Well, we welcome all of our librarians to Portland. Thank you, Bryant.